Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the crisp autumn breeze whispered through the apartment, Finley Thomas's gaze fixated on the unusual bet resting on the table. His eyes widened as he realized the gravity of the situation he had unknowingly walked into. What started as a light-hearted challenge over a round of drinks had now transformed into a looming fashion fate. Finley, still reeling from his fantasy football defeat, found himself staring at Kate, his roommate, whose grin seemed to stretch from ear to ear. She brandished a hanger like a trophy, showcasing the bet's prize, an ensemble not meant for his taste or comfort. "No way am I stepping out in that," he protested, pointing at the sinister combination of fabric and style. Kate, relishing in her victory, let out a peal of laughter that echoed through their home. "Oh, but you will, my friend. What are you afraid of?" Finley ran a hand through his short brown hair, his broad shoulders slumping in defeat. "Everyone's going to laugh at me." That's the whole point of Halloween, to be someone else for a night. Kate set the outfit on the coffee table. At 32, she'd been Finley's roommate for 3 years, since they'd both needed to split rent in the expensive downtown area. Their friendship had started as convenience, but had grown into something Finley valued deeply, though right now he was questioning that sentiment.
"Fine,"
he grumbled, picking up the dress with reluctant fingers. The fabric felt surprisingly soft.
"But if this ends up on social media, I'm moving out."
"Deal?" Kate's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Now, let's talk about shoes. I'm thinking those black ankle boots I never wear might fit you." The day of the Halloween party arrived faster than Finley had hoped. He stood in the bathroom, staring at his reflection with a mixture of anxiety and curiosity. Kate had insisted on helping with the full transformation, makeup, wig, the works. "Hold still," Kate commanded, applying foundation to his face. Her own costume, a vintage detective complete with trench coat and magnifying glass, was already perfect. "You have really good skin, by the way. It's annoying." Finley snorted. "Glad my humiliation comes with compliments." "It's not humiliation, it's fun. And honestly, you're being a better sport than I expected." Her fingers were gentle as she blended the makeup. "Close your eyes." Following her instructions, Finley felt the light sweep of brushes across his eyelids. The experience was strangely soothing. "So," Kate continued conversationally, "have you ever thought about this before? Wearing women's clothes?" "What? No." Finley's answer came too quickly. Kate's hands paused momentarily. "Really? Never even wondered?" The question hung in the air as Finley considered it. Had there been moments, perhaps when he'd admired certain fabrics or styles that society insisted weren't meant for him?
"Maybe,"
he admitted finally.
"But not seriously."
Kate hummed knowingly and returned to her work. "Okay, you can look now." Opening his eyes, Finley barely recognized himself. Kate had expertly applied enough makeup to feminize his features without making it look costumey or overdone. His lips were a subtle pink, cheekbones accentuated, and eyes defined with careful liner. "Now for the hair," Kate announced, producing an auburn wig from behind her back. "I thought this color might suit you." The wig was shoulder-length with soft waves. Once secured and styled, the transformation was startling. The warm auburn tones brought out flecks of gold in Finley's hazel eyes that he'd never noticed before.
"Holy shit,"
he whispered. Kate grinned. "Now for the final piece." She handed him the black mini dress. In the privacy of his room, Finley slipped the dress over his head. The fabric settled against his skin, surprisingly comfortable. He'd expected to feel ridiculous, but instead, there was an unfamiliar sensation of rightness. Adding the red cardigan, he examined his reflection in the full-length mirror. The person staring back was both himself and not himself, a version he'd never considered could exist. The dress hugged curves he didn't know his body could create, and the cardigan softened his shoulders. Most surprising was how he felt. Not awkward or embarrassed, but intrigued. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts.
Finn? You decent?
Yeah, come in. Kate entered and stopped short, her eyes widening. Wow.
Is it that bad?
Finley tugged at the hem of the dress. No, it's really good, actually. Kate circled him, adjusting the cardigan slightly. The dress fits better than I expected. Must be because you're so tall and lean. Finley bit his lip, a gesture that felt different with the lip gloss coating it. I don't look ridiculous. You look beautiful. Kate's voice held no trace of mockery. Seriously, Finn, you pull this off way better than you should for a first-timer. A strange warmth spread through Finley's chest at the compliment.
The boots are pinching a bit,
he deflected, indicating the ankle boots Kate had lent him.
You'll get used to them. Ready to go?
Finley took a deep breath.
As I'll ever be.
The Halloween party was at their friend Miguel's spacious apartment, already packed with costumed revelers when they arrived. Finley hung back in the hallway, suddenly overcome with doubt.
I don't think I can do this,
he whispered to Kate. She squeezed his arm. You look amazing! And remember, it's Halloween. Everyone's someone else tonight. Stepping into the apartment, Finley braced for laughter or pointed fingers. Instead, the first person to notice them was Miguel's girlfriend, Denise. Kate! She called, approaching them with a drink in hand. Her eyes turned to Finley, showing no immediate recognition. And who's your friend? Kate grinned. Denise. Meet Finley. Denise's jaw dropped. Finley? No way! She examined him with frank appreciation. Damn, you look good. That dress is perfect on you. The compliment sent a surprising thrill through him.
Thanks. Lost a bet to Kate.
Well, losing looks good on you. Denise winked. Come on, I'll get you both drinks. As the night progressed, Finley's anxiety gradually melted away. People were either genuinely complimentary or simply didn't recognize him at all. A few guys even flirted before realizing who he was, which led to good-natured laughter rather than the uncomfortable reactions he'd feared. Most surprising was how he felt in the outfit. After the first hour, he stopped thinking about the dress or the wig. By the second hour, he was dancing, the fabric swirling around his legs in a way that felt liberating. When he caught his reflection in a decorative mirror, the person looking back seemed happy, authentic. Having fun? Kate appeared beside him, offering a fresh drink. Actually, yeah. Finley accepted the cup. This is nothing like I expected. The dress? The whole thing. He gestured vaguely at himself. It should feel weird, but it doesn't. It feels... right? Kate suggested softly. Their eyes met in understanding, and something shifted between them, Kate seeing something in him he hadn't fully acknowledged to himself.
Maybe,
he admitted. The moment was interrupted by their friend Trent, who draped arms around both their shoulders.
Best costume of the night, hands down. he declared, nodding at Finley. You should wear dresses more often, man. You've got the legs for it.
Everyone laughed, including Finley. But as the night continued, the joke began to feel less like a joke and more like a permission slip. By the time they returned home, it was past 2 a.m. Finley kicked off the ankle boots with relief, but made no immediate move to change out of the dress or remove the wig.
You can keep that outfit if you want, Kate said casually, hanging up her detective trench coat. The dress looks better on you than it ever did on me. Finley's fingers traced the soft fabric of the cardigan. People really seemed to like it. People liked how comfortable you became in it. Kate sat on the couch, watching him thoughtfully. After the first hour, you stopped being Finley in a dress and just became you. The observation resonated uncomfortably. What are you saying? Nothing. Just that if you ever wanted to explore this more, I'd be happy to help. She shrugged. No pressure, just an open door. Finley nodded, unsure how to respond. That night, after carefully removing the makeup and wig, he found himself folding the dress and cardigan neatly rather than tossing them aside. Placing them in his drawer felt significant, like storing a question for later consideration. 2 weeks passed normally. The Halloween photos circulated among their friend group, with Finley's transformation receiving continued praise. He found himself looking at the pictures more often than he admitted, studying his own face, framed by that auburn hair. On a rainy Saturday afternoon, while Kate was out grocery shopping, Finley opened his drawer and touched the folded dress. Before he could second-guess himself, he put it on, adding the cardigan and retrieving the wig from the closet where he'd carefully stored it. Standing before the mirror, he arranged the auburn waves around his face. Without makeup, the effect wasn't as complete, but the person in the reflection still called to something deep inside him. He practiced walking, sitting, small gestures that felt natural rather than performed. The sound of the front door opening froze him in place. Kate's voice called out, "Finn, can you help with these bags?" Heart racing, he considered changing quickly, but knew there wasn't time. Taking a deep breath, he left his bedroom and walked to the entryway. Kate looked up as he approached, her surprise evident but fleeting. "Oh," she said simply, handing him a grocery bag. Then, with a smile, "The wig really suits you. That auburn is perfect with your complexion." The casual acceptance in her voice released the tension in Finley's shoulders. "I was just trying it again." "I can see that." Kate carried her bags to the kitchen. "Want to try some makeup too? I'm much better when I'm not rushing." The offer hung in the air like a lifeline. "Yeah," Finley nodded. "I'd like that." That afternoon became a turning point. Sitting at Kate's vanity, Finley watched as she applied products with careful precision, explaining each step. The resulting image in the mirror was softer, more refined than the Halloween transformation. "What do you think?" Kate asked, standing behind him. Finley couldn't take his eyes off his reflection. The subtle contouring that softened his jawline, the mascara that enhanced his lashes, the blush that brought warmth to his cheeks. With the auburn hair framing his face, he looked right, like a puzzle piece finally slotting into place. "I think," he said slowly, "that I might need some clothes of my own." Kate's smile was warm. "I was hoping you'd say that." The following weekend found them at a department store in a neighboring town, where nobody knew them. Kate had suggested starting with basics, a few tops, a skirt or two, some comfortable shoes. What about this? Kate held up a lavender blouse with subtle ruching. The color would look amazing with your auburn hair. Finley touched the fabric hesitantly. It's beautiful. Try it on, Kate encouraged. I'll find some bottoms that might work. In the privacy of the fitting room, Finley removed his masculine clothing and slipped the lavender blouse over his head. The soft fabric settled against his skin, the cut different from anything he'd worn before. Looking in the mirror, he saw a possibility. A knock at the door announced Kate's return. I found some options. Her voice came through the door. A black pencil skirt, some dark wash jeans, and a knee-length navy skirt. Finley opened the door slightly to accept the items. The jeans were familiar territory, though cut differently from his usual style. The skirts were another matter entirely, simultaneously terrifying and exciting. He tried each combination, stepping out to show Kate. With each outfit, his movements became more natural, his posture changing subtly. The navy skirt with the lavender blouse is perfect, Kate declared, and the black pencil skirt makes your legs look a mile long. Finley examined his reflection, seeing not just clothes, but a version of himself emerging, one with auburn hair and a grace he hadn't known he possessed. I want them all, he decided, surprising himself with the certainty in his voice. They left the store with 3 bags of carefully selected items, tops in colors that complemented the auburn wig, skirts of varying lengths, a pair of women's jeans that fit remarkably well, and a simple pair of black flats. Kate had also insisted on proper undergarments, explaining matter-of-factly how they would help create the right silhouette. What about a name? Kate asked as they drove home. When you're dressed like this, do you still feel like Finley? The question caught him off guard. I haven't thought about it. You don't need to decide now, or ever really. It's just something to consider. That night, after Kate had gone to bed, Finley tried on his new clothes again, this time with the wig and makeup he'd carefully applied, following Kate's tutorial. Standing in his room, wearing the lavender blouse and navy skirt, auburn hair falling softly around his shoulders, he whispered different names to his reflection. Emily. No, not quite right. Jessica. Too common. Fiona. The name lingered. Fiona. Close enough to Finley to feel connected, different enough to belong to this new self. Fiona, he repeated, and something clicked into place. The next morning, he found Kate making coffee in the kitchen. I think I like Fiona, he said without preamble. Kate turned, coffee pot in hand, and smiled. Fiona, she repeated. I like it. It suits you. Not all the time, Finley clarified quickly. Just when I'm, Understood. Kate poured him a cup. So, Finley during the week? Fiona on weekends? The suggestion made sense, a way to ease into this new reality. Yes, for now at least. Kate nodded. Well, since it's Saturday, good morning, Fiona. Any plans for the day? Hearing the name spoken aloud by someone else sent a warm wave through Finley's chest. Learning how to be me, I guess. The following weeks established a new rhythm. During workdays, Finley maintained his male appearance and identity, working as a graphic designer from their apartment. Weekends and evenings increasingly belonged to Fiona, who emerged with growing confidence. Kate became not just a roommate, but a guide and confidant. She taught Fiona about color coordination, suggesting that with her auburn hair, jewel tones and soft pastels worked best,
She demonstrated makeup techniques from everyday natural looks to more dramatic evening styles. They practiced voice modulation together, finding a register that felt authentic without straining. Most importantly, Kate created a space where exploration was safe and accepted. When Fiona struggled with walking in heels or felt dysphoric about certain physical aspects, Kate offered practical solutions and emotional support without judgment. "I love this," Fiona said one Sunday evening, wearing a teal wrap dress Kate had helped her select. They were preparing dinner together, a weekly tradition that now featured Fiona in an apron over her dress. Being able to move between worlds. Kate chopped vegetables, considering this. "And how does it feel going back to Finley mode?" The question made Fiona pause. "Harder each time," she admitted. "Like putting on clothes that used to fit but now feel too tight." "I've noticed you're spending more time as Fiona," Kate observed, neutrally. It was true. What had started as weekend explorations had expanded into evenings, and even some work-from-home days. Finley found himself reaching for Fiona's clothes almost instinctively when at home. "Do you think that's a problem?" Fiona asked, suddenly uncertain. "Not at all." Kate looked up from her chopping. "I think it's you figuring out where you're comfortable. There's no timeline or rule book for this." The conversation lingered in Fiona's mind as the days passed. The boundaries between Finley and Fiona began to blur, with aspects of Fiona's mannerisms appearing during Finley's workdays. The distinction felt increasingly artificial. One morning, preparing for a video meeting, Finley caught himself reaching for the auburn wig before remembering the professional context. The sense of disappointment was profound. That evening, he approached Kate, who was curled up on the couch with a book. "I think I need to talk to someone professional," he said. "About all this." Kate closed her book. "I think that's a great idea. I've actually been researching therapists who specialize in gender identity." She reached for her phone. "Want to see the list I found?" Warmth flooded Finley's chest. Of course, Kate had already thought of this. "You've been waiting for me to ask, haven't you?" "I figured you'd get there when you were ready." She patted the couch beside her. "Come look at these options." With Kate's support, Finley began seeing Dr. Harrison, a therapist specializing in gender identity. Their sessions provided clarity and vocabulary for feelings that had been nebulous. "What I'm hearing," Dr. Harrison said during their third session, "is that Fiona feels more authentic to you than Finley ever has." Sitting in the comfortable office chair, dressed in Finley attire but wearing clear nail polish, a small compromise, Finley nodded. Being Finley used to feel normal. Now it feels like a performance. And being Fiona? Feels like taking a deep breath after holding it for years. Dr. Harrison smiled. "That's a powerful metaphor." The therapy sessions helped Finley articulate what he'd been feeling. With each week, the certainty grew. Fiona wasn't a costume or a character, but his authentic self emerging. 6 months after that fateful Halloween party, Finley sat with Kate in their living room, dressed in Fiona's favorite outfit, the lavender blouse and a new white skirt. The auburn wig, now professionally styled and of higher quality, framed his face. "I want to transition," he said simply. "Not just wardrobes and weekends, but fully." Kate set down her tea. "I was wondering when we'd have this conversation." "You knew?" "I suspected. You're happier as Fiona. More yourself." The observation was accurate. When presenting as Fiona, there was an ease, a natural flow to movements and expressions that had always felt slightly forced as Finley. "I'm scared," Fiona admitted.
of everything, telling people, medical stuff, work, family. Of course you are. Kate reached for her hand. But you're not doing it alone. The journey that followed was neither simple nor linear. There were medical consultations, hormone therapy discussions, legal name change researches. Each step brought challenges, but also increasing alignment between inner self and outer presentation. Telling their friend group came first. Kate suggested hosting a dinner party where Fiona could be properly introduced. The nervous anticipation nearly overwhelmed her. What if they don't accept me? Fiona fretted, adjusting her emerald green dress, a recent purchase that complemented her auburn hair perfectly. Then they weren't really friends to begin with, Kate said firmly. But I think you're underestimating them. The dinner party became a turning point. Seated around their extended dining table, surrounded by familiar faces, seeing her authentic self for the first time, Fiona found courage she didn't know she possessed. So, I have something important to share, she began, her voice trembling slightly before finding its new, natural register. Most of you knew me as Finley, but I'm transitioning. My name is Fiona. The silence that followed lasted only seconds before Miguel raised his glass.
To Fiona,
he said simply.
To Fiona,
the others echoed, and the wave of acceptance brought tears to her eyes. Questions followed, of course, some awkward, some insightful, all asked with evident care. Denise wanted to know if Halloween had been the catalyst. Partly, Fiona explained, but the feelings had existed long before. Trent asked about pronouns. She, her, now, Fiona confirmed. Miguel's boyfriend Patrick offered connection to his cousin who had transitioned years earlier. By evening's end, Fiona sat in wonder at the support surrounding her. Not everyone might understand completely, but they were trying, and that meant everything. See? Kate whispered as they cleared dishes together. Friends worth keeping. Work presented different challenges. As a freelance graphic designer, Finley had built a reputation and client base. Becoming Fiona professionally meant potentially risking those relationships. After consultation with Dr. Harrison, Fiona decided on a gradual approach, informing long-term clients individually while updating her portfolio and professional presence to reflect her true identity. Some clients departed. Others stayed with surprising ease. New ones arrived who knew only Fiona, never Finley. The transition in professional identity unfolded over months, each successful project under her true name building confidence. Family proved the most complex terrain. Finley's parents, conservative and traditional, lived 3 states away. Their relationship had always been cordial but distant. The prospect of telling them filled Fiona with dread. They might never speak to me again, she confessed to Kate one evening. 6 months into hormone therapy, the physical changes were becoming noticeable. Softer skin, subtle shifts in fat distribution, emotional landscapes altered. That's their loss, Kate said fiercely. But you won't know until you try. The phone call to her parents was brief and difficult. Her mother cried. Her father asked if this was some kind of joke. They requested time to process, time that stretched into weeks, then months of minimal contact. On particularly hard days, when dysphoria hit, or when the administrative hurdles of transition seemed insurmountable, Kate remained steadfast. She celebrated milestones, the legal name change documents arriving, the first prescription for hormone therapy, the day Fiona donated all of Finley's clothes to charity. I have something for you, Kate said one evening, a year after that transformative Halloween. She presented a wrapped package. Inside was her favorite denim jacket, the one Fiona had admired countless times but never borrowed because it was Kate's signature piece. "I can't take this," Fiona protested. "It's your favorite." "It looks better on you," Kate insisted. "Besides, it goes perfectly with your auburn hair." The gift represented more than fabric and stitching. It was acceptance, support, the acknowledgement of a journey shared. Fiona slipped it on, the familiar weight now belonging to her new shoulders. Standing before the mirror, auburn hair cascading over the denim jacket, Fiona saw herself fully, not fragments or performances, but integration. The person reflected was neither the Finley who had reluctantly accepted a Halloween bet, nor the tentative Fiona of those early weekend explorations. She was simply herself, authentic and whole. "Perfect," Kate said, standing beside her in the reflection. Fiona smiled, recognizing the truth in that simple word. Not perfect in the flawless sense, but perfect in alignment. Inner self and outer expression, finally, beautifully synchronized. The bet lost on a napkin had led to a victory she could never have anticipated. The discovery of her true self, auburn hair catching the light as she stepped confidently into the future that had always been waiting for her to claim it.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!